Welcome to the Gala exhibition night of the International Figure Skating Championship of Moscow, also known affectionately as the Moscow Skate. This is the Olympic Sports Stadium in Moscow, where many of the best Russian skaters train and have trained in the past, including Irina Rodnina, who with her partner was 3 times Olympic pairs champion. This young man is Viktor Petrenko, who was placed 3rd at the Moscow Skate, about to skate his exhibition piece.
Viktor has had a lot of experience in world competition. He was the world junior champion back in 1983 and has since gone on to be placed within the top 10 of the world's senior skaters. A very emotional piece of music here. Viktor is now only 18 years of age, but shows great maturity in his skating. A triple Lutz jump there. Viktor also performed at the Entertainment Centre last year in the Twavelendine Tour. Recently he was 2nd in the Enia Challenge Cup in Holland, a very high-level European competition. He is considered 2nd only to Alexandre Fadeev, in fact the current world champion, also a Russian skater.
Where would you place him in relation to Scott Hamilton then?
In relation to Scott Hamilton, he would be placed about 4th. Scott, now out of the international skating scene, has sort of made way for some of the newer blood. Viktor's brother Vladimir also skates, but Vladimir is a junior skater, and until recently they both used to learn off the same coach. However, the coaching system in Russia is such that once you move on to senior levels, you also have a different coach, a senior level coach. A lovely double axel jump there.
Whereas in Australia, one tends to stick to the same coach throughout your skating life. You get used to a person and stick to them.
That's right, very much in Australia and most Western countries, you choose your coach. In Russia, the coaches choose you. Viktor shows great expression to his music, maturity both in his expression of the music and maturity in his technical ability. An unusual crossfoot spin there. An encore performance here. After a very moving and very strong first program, straight into another strong encore program. No lack of strength though in his skating. Obviously a very fit, well-tuned skater. A double Lutz, double toe loop combination jump there. Putting the same feeling and expression into this different tempo program by all means. A triple Salchow jump there. There we have the Western advertising coming to the forefront. showing us his good spinning style there. A very involved combination spin with the different change foot spin there.
Natalia Lebedeva, who was second in the ladies' skating competition here at the Moscow News Prize Skate.
Natalie is also a Russian skater, and at this particular event, Natalie finished ahead of Anna Kondrashova. This is quite a surprise result, as Anna is considered to be the better of the two skaters. Natalie is quite a tall ladies skater. Most of the successful ladies skaters are fairly short, but Natalie is a tall and very tidy skater. Very tight double axel jump there. All balanced free skating programs have step sequences in them, such as this one here.
Completely different contrast in style with her and Anna Kondrashova. Anna, big beaming smile and always with an eye on the audience, whereas Natalie is self-contained, very sort of private, austere personality almost.
That's right. She is not the sort of skater that you remember after a performance. Her personality does not show. She does not show any real emotion in her skating. She's out there skating and you don't really feel it's coming from the heart.
Nevertheless, a very good technical skater, and she must be pleased with her second place, even though she may not get to travel overseas. She may not, since she lacks the showmanship, be considered entertainment. She is a fine skater in the best traditions of the sport. This is Vladimir Kotin of the USSR. He was placed second in the Moscow News Skate. He's 23 years old, and we've seen him on ISM before, skating in South Korea in preparation for the Winter Olympics there of '88, where he did a disco routine to Billie Jean, but this looks like a more traditional Russian balletic number, Peter.
A much more traditional number, and something that perhaps suits Vladimir a little bit more. He shows great balletic style in his skating, very much similar to that of John Curry, an English skater,
who later turned professional and opened a theatre in London.
That's right, that's right. Vladimir has skated in many international competitions and championships and appeared here in Australia only last year in the Torval and Dean Tour.
23, he's getting in the upper range of the age group for skaters.
Yes, but he's maybe getting upper range, and you notice that as they do get on in years, they show a great maturity in their skating and a very polished finish.
Yes, he's very aware of the lines that his costume with flowing sleeves and the nice straight costume makes.
It's not unusual for both male and female skaters to do a lot of ballet training off the ice to help in their line and appeal. Ooh. A double axel jump there, followed by another one. 3 double axels in a row, a very difficult manoeuvre. Obviously, his balletic style does not take anything away from his technical merit. Putting real feeling into his skating, showing true emotion in the music. A dramatic finish to a very exciting program.
Yes, I think the cameraman must have known that he was going to use a facial expression full of emotion there. They managed to get him on a close shot as he came off. Another routine from Vladimir Kotin, a very popular Russian skater, brought back by the applause of the Russian crowd here at the Moscow News Skate.
A much more up-tempo program this time. Vladimir follows in the footsteps of another famous Vladimir, the Russian skater Vladimir Kovalev, a past world champion back in 1979.
Traditional Russian folk tune, giving a slightly modern interpretation, not traditional instruments, I'd say. Who's it Greek? Oh, I recognise it, but I don't know what it is. Pretty impressive spin.
There doesn't appear to be any real limits to Vladimir's skating. He looks rather tired.
Vladimir may be tired, but the crowd insisted he come back for more, and now, not accompanied by music, he shows us some of his best technical moves. I think you were saying there almost, I can't jump for you.
I don't have anything left to give.
Соревнования среди танцевальных пар. Заслуженные мастера спорта Наталья Bestemianova, Andrei Bukin.
Now the Russian couple who have replaced Torval and Dean as the top competitive skaters, Natalia Bestemianova and Andrei Bukin of the USSR. They would be the world's top ice dancers at the moment. Surprisingly enough, at the Moscow News Skate here, they were placed only second.
This is a surprise result. The other Russian dance pair were placed in front of them at this particular event. Natalie and Andrei were at the 1985 World Championships and in the 1984 Olympics, and they were placed second to Jane Torval and Christopher Dean.
Were they part of that Russian contingent that came out here?
They were, and amongst the Australian public, they were almost as popular as Jane Torval and Christopher Dean. They're a very dramatic pair, and by just looking at their style, you'll be able to see the reason why they are so popular. A very expressive couple.
These are the exhibition pieces, of course. We don't have the competitive skating, so we can't see what went wrong in competition that resulted in them being placed merely second. But of course, second is no disgrace in company of this ilk.
Showing a switch from a very fast motion right to a slow-moving program now. shows real technical ability. In ice dancing, the thing that draws the couples between each other, the difference from one pair to the next, does not so much go on technical ability. That is an understood part of the program. The thing that will draw them apart is their difference, to be a slightly different skater, something above and a very innovative form.
Going from the poetic to the pragmatic now, it just occurs to me that he is so much taller than her, whereas one thing about Torval and Dean is they're almost the same height. Do you think that reduces the possibilities of things they can do? I mean, just watching things where he's down in the small of her back, etc., and looks perhaps a little bit more awkward. Do you think that height difference is important?
That may make certain moves more difficult for them, but obviously their own skill has drawn that so that's not a difficulty with them.
There are numerous lifts, nearly always the woman being lifted by the man, of course, so it helps if she's light, at least, if not smaller.
That's right. Usually the bigger the man, they usually has a little bit more strength too, so that would be a great help to them. Dancing is known to be the less athletic of the ice sports, but if you look at this routine, there's obviously no lesser athleticism in this program.
Even though I'd mentioned the fact that in a traditional balletic style he lifted his partner a lot, she was doing some leaps of her own there that must have required quite powerful leg muscle movements.
Quite a long, grueling routine. And beautiful finish.
Quite apart from the practicalities of not having endless routines and all the work that's gone into them, routines remain favourites with spectators too, and they are quite often demanded as a repeat. And this routine, at least we can feel sure, has not been used in competition because it has lyrics to it, one of the no-nos for competition performance, but quite acceptable for exhibition.
Perhaps if we had a Russian translator with us, we could see that this is obviously a romantic piece of music. When you see this couple skating together, you can almost think that they were lovers. They put real feeling and emotion into their skating.
In fact, we know that Natalie is married to a male skater, but it's not her dancing partner. It's Igor Bobrin.
Igor, although retired from the competitive scene now, was one of the most innovative skaters of his time, although only a few years ago. Some of his expression surely must wear off on her, and between them they must develop their programs together.
Тут ни одно воспоминание, тут жизнь заговорила вновь. И тоже в вас очарование, и даже в душе моей любовь.
Igor was one of the first to really show expression in his skating. It was like a new wave of skating that came around in the late 70s, where it was no one was afraid anymore to start showing expression in their skating, where before it was more technical and strict ballet lines. It then started to show new expressive feelings and starting to tell a story.
How is that rated, though? Although we know that performances are scored under technical merit and artistic expression, that artistic expression means generally, I suppose, more the movements between the flow, not actual facial expressions. That's considered, you're not supposed to take that into account, are you?
Well, one of the parts of artistic impression is the mood and feeling that you put into the music.
So something like that tender kiss there still can be acknowledged as a part of the creative choreography?
Most definitely. You actually get the whole audience and the judges sort of right into the mood of the whole feeling.
Well, that's funny. They still make the distinction with lyrics, though, because they considered that puts too much emotion that isn't being performed by the skaters, and yet you'd think being able to choose the right lyrics is just another skill about presenting a nice dancing performance.
A good point, Laurel, a good point.
Do you think we'll see the day when it will be acceptable?
I think it's quite possible with the fact that the upheaval, it sort of is a continuous upheaval, especially now in skating. It's quite possible that this may come.
Now we're about to see the winner of the Moscow News Skate women's competition, Kira Ivanova.
Just to give you an idea of the ratings of the Russian ladies to the world ladies, Kira was placed third in the 1984 Olympics.
At 20 years of age, she's neither a novice nor an old hand. She's just coming into her stride now as a well-seasoned skater, and we'll see some nice performances from her. Harder to do than it looks, or easier to actually use your skates as if you're no longer skating and sliding, but to actually sort of use them as if you're dancing steps on a...
I think with all things like this, it's always harder to do than it actually looks. Once you get it down pat, it's not so hard, but it's the learning and getting everything in time. That's where the real ability of a skater comes in, when they can make it look easy.
Kira Ivanova, welcomed back onto the ice for an encore in the exhibition night of the Moscow News Skate. She was the winner of the women's section of the competition.
Skating this time to Russian lyrics. You find often, especially amongst the Russian skaters, in a competition such as this, where it is being viewed by the world, that there is a lot of pressure from coaches and officials to do the right thing. They demand a lot of encore performances, and they want to see you do your best each and every time. It is very grueling on a skater to have to skate more than their recommended time. Normally a female skater only skates about 2 minutes in her short program and 4 minutes in her long program. With the encores here, you'll often see them skate for about 6 to 7 minutes. Kira shows great maturity in her skating, obviously at home on the ice, a very relaxed look and feel.
I hate to disagree with you, but I think we find it Spanish that they're singing, not Russian. Perhaps it's Cuban.
A good compromise.
Yes.
Победители соревнований среди танцевальных пар, мастера спорта международного класса Марина Кlimova, Sergei Ponomarenko.
On the ice now, the couple who beat Bestemianova and Bukin here at the Moscow News Skate, Marina Klimova and Sergei Ponomarenko, also of the USSR and known to viewers of ISM through their Enia Cup performances. Marina seems to favour white. Actually, I remember a routine of hers that was quite bridal. And once again, romance is the theme for this routine on exhibition night. They have also been seen at the Olympics.
That's right, they were actually placed third in the Olympics, behind Blumberg and Siebert, who were second, and Jane Torval and Christopher Dean, who were first. Everybody, I think, will remember that couple very well. It's interesting to note that the couples, as you can see, appear very polished and finished. Their faces and everything, they're all fresh. That's because the exhibition night is always the next night after all the competitions are over.
So after the competitions you don't actually feel fresh as a skater yourself, you know, you feel quite sort of wrung out and...
Quite wrung out and drawn, and to sort of go out and give an encore performance, especially something like the calibre of these performances, is almost out of the question.
Must be a buzz though, a high from having done well, having won. But how do skaters celebrate then? Not by more skating?
Not by more skating, but just being able to relax. And so going out on the exhibition night, the night after, where you sort of had a chance to refresh yourself a little bit, you sort of go out on the exhibition night totally relaxed to enjoy the whole performance.
And is that usually combined with a presentation night too? That's
right.
The reason to come back for a last night?
Yes, the main presentation night is usually on the same night as the exhibitions. Generally amongst ice dancing there is a minimum of lifting involved, and there's still very strict guidelines with the types of lifts that they are not allowed to do. The lady is not allowed to be lifted above the man's shoulder in any way, so you notice that the lady's hips always stay below the man's shoulders.
What's the reason for that? Is there any rationale behind it? Or?
Simply to give there a definition between pairs and ice dancing. So they try, where pair skating there is always lifts are the main part of it. With ice dancing, it's mostly on the sequences of steps on the ice.
A slightly more dramatic routine now from the winners of the ice dancing section at the Moscow News Skate, Marina Klimova and Sergei Ponomarenko. Slightly more lively, as I said, but still with that lyrical waltz couple that image they seem to go for. Not quite so much the show business style of certainly not Torval and Dean, and even Bestemianova and Bukin are much more lively as a couple. But there's always a market for romance. hard to actually analyse the technical merit of something like this where so much of it seems to be swept along by emotion. So, Peter, are they technically good?
They are technically good. The technical part of ice dancing comes very much from the smoothness with which you make the steps, and also the fact of the timing, whether you are in time with the music.
Well, that's certainly impeccable, their timing, and smoothness is something perhaps they do too much of for some people's taste. And even as I speak, the tempo goes up, and so does the energy of the performance. Some fancy footwork.
Where the couple are side by side, it's very important for them to be doing the same steps, and their kicks and strides and always right perfectly in time with each other. Ice dance judging, although there is a technical feel about it, is also very difficult from the point of view of a lot of emotion is involved in it. If a skater happens to be skating to a piece of music that you just very much dislike, then there's not much chance that they're going to do
there it is. I
particularly
told you she was into weddings. Mendelssohn's Bridal March, but a very up-tempo version, perhaps a bit tongue-in-cheek. That the Moscow audience here would have been waiting to see the man who won the competition, Alexandre Fadeev, and arguably the world's top male skater at the moment.
Alexander was the world champion in 1985. He also won the NHK trophy in Japan in 1985. And he's probably remembered by a lot of the Australian audiences as being here in Australia only last year during the Torval Dean and Russian Olympic Skaters Tour. Skating in a stars and stripes costume there.
Seems to be a fairly athletic skater, throwing himself into spins and jumps.
A very athletic skater, showing a high level of technical and artistic appeal. A triple toe loop jump there. You notice in these exhibition performances the skaters really let go and let the crowd have it, as they say.
You've actually met this skater during your skating life?
That's right. When he was here last year, we did meet him, and he is a very interesting man. He speaks very good English and certainly seems to have a slightly Western appeal.
So this routine does express his personality.
Most definitely.
Fine finish. A bit more exhibition skating from Alexandre Fadeev, and I noticed there that he was literally out of breath from that last routine. Sometimes it seems they're waiting for the applause to build up, grandstanding a bit to come back on the ice, but I think there really must be a physical limitation to just how long you can go and how many extra bits you can come up with.
That's right. Although they have these programs well prepared, you still need that breathing time in between if you're going to give a good performance. A slower routine now, but no less demanding. A very strong skater. Double lutz, double toe loop jump there. Another very well-known Australian skater, Stephen Carr, who is currently in the senior section of the Australian levels, has trained with Alexander in Russia in both 1979, 1980, and right through up until last year.
Is that normal for someone who's still competition skating themselves to be coaching as they go? Usually you think of retired sports professionals turning to coaching, but he actually does it as well.
Not actual coaching, but more just training with him and just helping.
Like sparring partners in boxing, just having that person of a higher standard to live up to.
That's right. And on each of the times that Stephen did come back from Russia, there was a much higher standard in his skating. We now have a silent encore. Double axel jump, followed by a butterfly jump.
An appealing look on his face. He seems to be saying, look, that's it. I really haven't got anything left. Please let me go.
There is only so much you can give.